unique things about this polymer is it can biodegrade in many environments, even modern waste facilities, where the end product is actually methane. So we can conceivably have this completely closed loop cradle-to-cradle cycle. Now, these biopolymers that we sell are part of a multi-billion-dollar industry, and Mango Materials is ready to be part of it. We have the team to commercialize this process. We have exclusive rights to the IP, including the foundational work that was part of my PhD research at Stanford University. We have access to methane, our feedstock, a partnership with a local wastewater treatment plant where we've been operating for over 5 years. And we now have great demand from customers who eagerly want to try larger volumes of our material, including our newest formulation, which is a fiber replacement for polyester, which can be biodegradable, such as my necklace and earrings that I'm wearing today. However, we're now transforming out of the R&D phase and into product and application development phase. And to get to the next scale, we need your help. We're raising $7 million to build and operate our demonstration facility. We already have some money soft-circled from current partners, strategic partners who we're working with. But we really need these larger volumes of materials to work with our trial customers with, because the ultimate goal is to get purchase orders from them so we can eventually build our full-scale, first-of-its-kind commercial facility. Because our dream is to go big. Wherever there's people, there's generally methane. And wherever there's methane, there can be a Mango Materials production facility, not just in the US, but around the world as well. And this not only transforms a potent greenhouse gas into an environmentally friendly product, and transforms waste methane producers into regions of economic resiliency, but it creates this closed loop cycle. Mango Materials is a company on a mission to transform the plastics industry, and with your help, we can have a more sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
Good job, Molly. That's a tough pitch to do so quickly. So I was just curious about your customers. Who right now are your largest customers?
So our largest customers in terms of money coming in is from actually folks in the fashion industry. So they're interested in either the biopolyester solution for fabric textiles, and the same customer also has a footwear application as well.
Hi, Molly. Welcome to India.
Thank you.
Very compelling pitch. The question I have for you is that you're moving from R&D phase into actually commercializing the entire product.
Yep.
Have you thought through on the go-to-market strategy for this?
Yeah. So we've
some contours, some broad contours of go-to-market.
Yeah, so our broad go-to-market plan is to partner with these early-stage development partners, because by working with the brand that's at the end of the value chain, they can actually pull the technology through. So what we produce, it's the raw material. It's the pellets, or in some cases, the fiber that actually goes to multiple middlemen. But in the end of the day, it's the brand that's selling the product. So actually, these partners that we're working with right now are the brands who are pulling it through the converters, the plastic formers, and the formulators.
Thank you.
Hi. I had great pitch. Thank you very much. I like the idea. I had two questions. One of them is whether or not the product is food safe. Can it be used to replace saran wrap on food packaging? And the other question is whether or not it's temperature sensitive for two applications. When you're selling the product to people or businesses are going to use your product and it's in transit, is there sensitivity to heat if it's in a container that gets to 200 degrees? And then the same question, if it's already being used, is there any temperature sensitivity?
Okay, so your first question, yes, it is food safe. You would need FDA food contact approval, but that is easy to get with the polymer that we have. And the second question, yes, it is temperature stable while in use. It starts to melt at about 185 degrees Celsius. So it's very different than other biopolymers like polylactic acid that you might be familiar with that has transit issues. We don't have that issue.
Great, thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about your team and also maybe a little bit about your competition?
Yeah, sure. So our team is myself and two technical co-founders. The three of us all have PhDs in engineering. And then a fourth co-founder who has a background in venture capital and has started many companies before, so he has a lot of operating experience. Aside from the four of us, we have about 20 people worth of full-time equivalents. So that includes mainly technical folks, because we are coming out of R&D, but we also have folks that we bring on for specific applications, like a fiber expert. You had another question. Oh, the competition. So I consider our key competition actually polyethylene or polypropylene. And so the key goal there is to drop the cost, which we will be able to do and be on parity once we're at full commercial scale. There are a number of other PHA, that's the type of biopolymer we produce, producers out there. They generally use sugar as a feedstock, which is a very different story, not only from an environmental perspective, but also from a price point. That's how we're able to drop the cost, is from the methane feedstock. Thank you.
We can take one more question.
Are there any byproducts to the process that you're using to?
Yeah, so our biopolymer, it's produced inside the bacteria. So you end up with some residual cell mass, which you can actually biodegrade back to methane, or you can actually use that as a nutrition supplement. It has this good essential amino acid profile. There's also some wastewater, nothing toxic or anything like that. And then we also release heat. The process is exothermic. So, yeah.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to hear from Peyush Mehtar of Simpa Networks.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Peyush Mathur, and I represent Simpa Networks. At Simpa, we're doing something very simple. We're making energy affordable and accessible for people who otherwise do not have reliable access to clean, modern energy. Over 1 billion people around the world are still living with unreliable access to energy, and we're talking about 21st century. So what we're doing for them is packaging a simple solar energy device with point-of-sale financing to make it affordable for them, and also with doorstep service to break down all the barriers of adoption of clean energy systematically. We've been operating commercially for 2.5 years. We've created some unique capabilities in the business to build a very scalable model. One of these capabilities is an IoT technology, which allows us to remotely monitor, control, disable this energy device. Now, and imagine what that does. That enables medium-term financing, because now we have a way of enforcing credit. So in a way, it's financial inclusion at the same time as energy inclusion. But what it also does is provide us very meaningful data about customer usage, customer service quality, such that we can respond with proactive maintenance and also go back to customers with propositions which are more relevant to them. So we're collecting very useful data. Over the last 2.5 years, we've signed up 45,000 homes in rural India and also about 5,000 shops. We have saved 2,000 metric tons of carbon, but that's not our biggest achievement. Our biggest achievement is that we have demonstrated a viable, commercially self-sustaining model in the existing areas where we have operated, which is now giving us confidence to replicate the same model in many new areas. And we have recently expanded into Bihar and Orissa, new states in India, taking exactly the same model. Our ambition is to reach 1 million households, which will be 7 million plus people over the next 3 years. And we are looking for $10 million worth of further capital, which will take our business to corporate profitability. Now, that'll be a wonderful thing. We've raised $13 million of equity to date. Another 10 million means that we will still be under 25 million, and we would have created a model which can potentially eradicate energy poverty from the face of this earth. So I call your help, support, and involvement in our business. We've already created employment for over 500 people and have created livelihoods for 3,000 sales agents who work for us in the field. And as we expand, this number is going to get multiplied by 10x. So welcome all of you, and I look forward to further discussions and your participation in our business. Thank you.
Thank you, Peyush. Questions?
What's the burn rate?
So our current burn rate is $200,000 per month. I was describing the capabilities that we have built in the head office or the corporate center, which is an IoT technology packaged with a mobility application on the field, which allows us to monitor, control all the field staff that we have, a distributed field force. Now that requires an upfront investment, but we're through that phase. Our branches are now generating positive cash and are starting to make contribution towards our head office. So this burn rate will actually decrease as we now expand into new branches.
So would it be right to say that the money that you are now going to be asking for is going to go towards the growth of the company?
Absolutely. So all of that money is going to get invested in establishing new branches and help us ride that initial 9-month period when we are ramping up the branch to bring it to commercial profitability.
So 45,000, sorry, just one last one. So 45,000 that you talked about is growing at what rate?
So we are currently adding in our 6 districts about 2,000 customers every month. Now we have recently established 12 new districts. So this rate will then triple as we go. It's directly sort of linked with the number of areas where we are operating.
How does your model differ from other PAYGO models? And you mentioned now tying up or now utilizing your tool for financial inclusion. So have you facilitated partnerships with the banks or other financial intermediaries to do that?
Yes. So our model is different from PAYGO because we place a lot of emphasis on customers ultimately getting to own this equipment, such that there is a very strong asset creation mindset at the point at which they are signing up to it. So we make a big deal out of making them realize that they're actually acquiring their own little powerhouse. And this has a meaning for them. So in that sense, it is not pay-per-use, it's a credit model, but enabled by PAYGO technology. You also asked a question about our financing strategy. So one of the things that we have succeeded in doing, which I think is pretty unique in the whole energy access sector, is that we've formed partnerships with domestic commercial banks, which are now helping finance end users directly. So previously we had to pass all the financing through our balance sheet, which obviously is constraining, but we have now championed a model which is direct end user financing, which is how all of us buy cars today. So we are transporting disciplines that are well established in other sectors into this sector, such that we can become a very scalable model.
Just quickly as a follow-up, sorry. The financing that you're providing is only for the solar home system, or is it also for other uses afterwards?
No, the financing that we're providing is only for the solar home system, but we present a composite proposition to a customer in which they're getting 3 elements. It's actually the energy device, the solar system, the financing, so the cost of financing, and also after-sales doorstep service. So we're reaching their homes, solving that last mile problem, and all of that is priced into the composite offering.
And one last question.
Just a quick piece of advice. So instead of giving up more equity, there's 2 new mechanisms that are rolling out right now to combat climate change, particularly in the US and then in the UK. They're doing no finance loans for established companies that can prove that they're limiting climate, and then also impact investments, again, that are non-equity based. So we could talk after about what some of those funds are, because you have a proven model, and I think they're very appropriate for this versus you giving up more ownership.
Thank you very much for that advice. Yeah, we'll take it.
All right, let's thank Piyush.
Thank you.
All right, and let's welcome to the stage Rayan Jamalova.
Hi, I am Reyhan from Azerbaijan. I am 15 years old. I have powerful motto, light up one house at a time. I am CEO and founder of Rainergy. We get electricity from rain. And today I'm going to tell you how Rainergy works. Actually, research shows that during the precipitation, billions of gallons rainwater occurs over the world, which has huge potential if utilized in right way. So today, I'll show you how you can generate energy using this potential through Rainergy is designed to harvest energy from rain. We sell Rainer generator to low-income rural households to have easy access to energy for their daily needs at affordable price. Our product, Rainer generator, consists of 4 major parts. Rain collector fills the water tank with rainwater, which then goes through the electricity generated at high speed and generate electricity through the motion created by the wheel. Then this amount of electricity is stored in the accumulator for the further implementation. At the same time, we build little prototype at the laboratory, which lightens up 22 LED lamps, which is approximately 22 watt of power, while piezoelectric rain generator produce only 25 microwatt of power. So it shows that our model much more efficient in comparison with the similar systems. Considering that the price of general electricity is 25 euro cent per kilowatt and 5 euro cent per kilowatt for solar panel in many countries. But we created much sustainable solution market. Compared to other current alternative energy solution, Rainergy offers the same amount of energy at cheaper price. Based on our research, our total available market is about 1.5 billion people who lives in rainy countries. In these countries, 33 million people lives in rural areas who has no or very limited access to energy. Therefore, Rainergy has huge potential to be painkiller for this segment. We also plan to sell our product to 2% of this segment. To construct and to use other current alternative energy solutions like solar panel, wind turbine is difficult. You need an electricity or energy expert for construction and using. But to construct and to use Rainergy is easy. Let's say Rainergy has easy construction compared to other current alternative energy solutions. This is the most competitive advantage of Rainergy. And we are a team of school children and experienced physics. And recently, we got endorsement from the Ministry of Communication and High Technology of Azerbaijan, and we just need $20,000 to launch our product. And we believe that skies have big potential as a clean energy source. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Rayhan.
Well, you give me complete confidence in our world, so
Thank you.
You're incredibly impressive, and I think we can find you $20,000 by the end of this conference.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You just get.
Wow.
No, I just second her thought. You know, you have made a very, very strong pitch, and $20,000. I'm sure you'll easily find it here itself.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Who are your competitors? Are there any competitors in this space?
Okay, our competitors are a solar panel, wind turbine, as also piezoelectricity. But as I said before that, our model, we have prototype already. Our prototype lightens up 22 LED lamps, while piezoelectricity rain generator generates only 25 microwatt of power. So as I said before that, our model much more efficient in comparison with the similar systems. And also, one of our competitive advantage is you know that to construct and to use solar panel and wind turbine is difficult. But to construct and to use Rainergy is easier than others. So, yeah, that's all.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
So how large is this device and how much space is it taking?
Okay, actually, the height of our prototype is 1.5 meter, but it's energy sector. So of course the size is not very small. The size of the real Rainer generator is big, approximately 10 meter height. Yeah, and also other things is very big.
So we have this large box in the backyard that's collecting rain.
Yeah, collecting rain, and then this rainwater goes through the electricity generator and generates electricity through the motion created by the wheel. And also then this amount of electricity stored in the gel batteries.
So how long will those last?
What?
If it rains today, but it doesn't rain 2 days from now,
Yeah, I know.
How long is it stored?
Okay, I know. Actually, in rainy countries, there are 2 seasons. Rainy season and hot season. In rainy season, just we didn't calculate the exact number, exact days, but it stored electricity for a month, for 2 months, 3 months. So people can use this amount of electricity when they need.
Very good. Great
Thank
job.
You. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Is the water also stored for use by the household during...
I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
Is the water also stored for use by the household at a later time?
Water? Water, I don't understand the question.
Is the water that is stored in the tank that goes through the generator reserved for use at a later time during the non-rainy season?
Yeah, yeah.
You're from Azerbaijan.
Yeah,
could you tell us a little bit about how you came up with this idea? And I'm guessing you're not one of those countries, right? Could you tell us a little bit more about the market and where you're thinking about starting?
Our market target, okay. Actually, Azerbaijan is not rainy country. So we just plan to launch our product in global market because it is actually for rainy countries like some parts of India, Indonesia, Philippines. So as I said before that, approximately 1.5 billion people lives in rural areas, lives in rainy countries. And according to our calculations, 33 million people lives in rural areas who has no or very limited access to energy. So rain energy has huge potential to be painkiller for this segment. So we also plan to sell our product to 2% of this segment. And also recently we got endorsement of the Ministry of the Communication and High Technologies of the Azerbaijan, and they said that they will help us to launch our product in global market. The brand, under the brand Made in Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Let's thank Rejan.
Thank you.
And let's welcome David Ochi from Convert Coal.
Tonight, 2 billion people are going to burn wood, dung, or coal to cook or heat their home, creating a pollution inside the home that raises the pollution level to 100 times WHO standards. Unfortunately, women will disproportionately bear this burden, dying at 4 times the rate of men in similar situations. Why is this the case? Well, almost 2 billion people have little or no access to electricity, and solar stoves and similar technologies have had a terrible time getting traction because of their costs. Now, on the utility level, power plants and their regulations are being threatened with shutdown. 40% in India are threatened with shutdown because of the challenges with regulations. As a result, what you're finding is lowered electricity availability, and then on top of what you do with that, now you have a challenge of how do you get it so that you can get this fuel to them in the right ways. The WHO anticipates, with all the new technology that's coming out, including some here, there are going to be more people in 2030 burning dangerous fuels for food in 2030 than there are today because of population growth. So how do we get it so that technologies of today, the fuels of today, can be clean while we wait for these emerging technologies to come true? Hi, I'm David Ochi of Convert Coal, the only company that takes coal and cleans it before it's ever burned, and in the process creates 2 clean fuels. First, clean briquettes for the home with no change in user behavior required. And second, a fuel replacement for power plants that makes them environmentally compliant. What you have now is a smokeless fuel for homes and energy compliance for power plants. But that's not even the best part. We actually, as a byproduct, create synthetic crude oil, which then our clients, these power plants, can sell on the open market, giving them a 23% per year ROI on the entire project. So think about that. We just turned compliance for our clients into a profit center instead of a line item cost. Nobody can do that. They all have a negative ROI. We have a positive ROI. They all require government subsidies as a result. We don't need a government subsidy now. We have 8 patents pending and a team of 8 with 200 years of experience in the coal business. We've invested a few $100,000 ourselves and are looking for $4 million to help us to get to first revenue next year here in India. On Friday, we're meeting with a licensing partner who has an interest in deploying this here in Hyderabad with groundbreaking next year. If they do that, their plant will be able to replace the toxic fuels in 8 million homes within 3 years. We started this company with the intent of saving the planet with the legacy fuels. We have now found a way to help homeowners where we can now change the lives of millions of women and children who have been damaged by the smokestack within their own home. So please, help us convert coal. Thank you.
Thank you, David. First question?
What interaction have you had with utilities so far? And what is your distribution strategy for the coal briquettes to households and price point for that?
Great. So we have actually been working with both utilities, there's a myriad of companies, but utilities and coal mines are the key partners. In the case here, we're looking at a power plant that's owned locally here in this state. And the strategy is for them to be able to, we'll pull together money from overseas, supplement it with their own money, and be able to deploy it here as a sample plant effectively. We've had 9 utilities around the world in 4 different countries say we're happy to be plant number 2. And so we're very excited about the fact that this company has said we don't mind being plant number 1, which is great. Our plan for the distribution of the briquettes is they're already distributing briquettes and waste coal that isn't good enough to burn in a plant. They send it out into rural through programs here in India and other countries. So we'll actually just plug right into that same distribution network.
Interesting thought, and seems like a thought that has a time dimension to it. As you rightly said, over a period of time, there will be other sources of energy that will come up. What's that period that you see for this company?
So it depends on the source you look at. The coal companies estimate somewhere in the 70 to 90 year range. Solar companies and more government-based groups, for example, a group called IPHPW in Poland estimates that they're looking at somewhere around 50 years. So we're estimating that we have at least a 30-year life where we're receiving roughly 15 million per year per plant in royalties from this process.
That's good. So whatever you do with regards to processing the coal before it is used by the consumers would obviously be taking the cost up, acquisition cost of the product. What's that incremental cost?
So we actually build, basically, you have a mine where the coal comes out and you have a plant where it's burned.
Yep.
We build a plant in between. So there's a large capital cost, but what it does is it creates the clean fuel and it creates a consistent cash stream. Coal is far more reliable than solar or wind in terms of consistency. You can stockpile it, you can store it in many ways, and that makes it so it's consistent. So the incremental cost is actually that initial down payment. Once you begin operation, you're cash flow positive from day one because you're able to produce oil, and oil, it's a West Texas Intermediate synthetic. So its market value is, $55 a barrel today.
No, my question was more with regards to the people who are consuming coal. They are paying X amount today because of this processing. There is a cost escalation. So what's that incremental cost?
So you're talking about the briquettes for the homes.
Yep.
We can make that so it's exactly the same price. In reality, if oil doesn't drop dramatically down to 20, we can actually give it away for free because the oil is the critical driver of revenue, not charging for the briquettes.
Okay.
Last question.
I was just going to say that the UN has the Global Alliance for Clean Cooking.
Yep.
And I hope you're engaged with them because they could be a massive resource for you.
Yes, and what they've done is they've agreed to have a discussion about this as soon as we've identified where we would like to do it, because they'd like to do the analysis based upon a specific location, not a broad technology.
Okay, great.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
All right. And help me welcome Ajita Shah from Frontier Markets to the stage.
Over the last decade, I've personally worked in 5,000 villages in India, witnessing rural households suffer from darkness, fear, and instability. Globally, 1.6 billion, and in India, 270 million people lack access to sufficient and efficient energy. While clean energy can address productivity and safety, the reality is rural penetration of solutions is less than 5 to 7%. To address this, Frontier Markets has built a model for scale through technology and partnerships, bringing women to the center of the value chain. Frontier Markets partners with NGOs and recruits women who earn no income, creating them into micro-franchisees and providing training, market activation, product innovation, and a mobile platform that allows them to do payment solutions, data collection, and sales processes on an internet platform. Frontier Markets has recruited 1,000 women entrepreneurs who have successfully sold solar home lighting systems, solar agri-appliances, and clean cook stoves to 400,000 households in Rajasthan, impacting 2.1 million people. They've also supported 10,000 agri-livelihoods and generated $9.2 million of kerosene savings and $2.5 million of income for themselves. We continue to support them by innovating on products, by partnering with local manufacturers and creating the next best solution. A 22-watt solar TV with built-in cable for under $200, a solar induction stove, a solar blender for farmers. We do this by constantly collecting customer insights through our mobile platform that allows our women to help us understand what is that product, what is that value, how are they going to use it, what is that scale potential, and how do we, as market builders, drive the price to the lowest value point so it's affordable at scale. FM has a team of 55 people, half of which who are women, and we have a combined experience of 100 years in rural retail, microfinance, engineering, and data analytics. Last year, FM had corporate break-even with 46% gross profit margins on product sales, and we are now raising $2 million of growth capital to expand our work into 6 states of India to create 10,000 women entrepreneurs and create a revenue of $26 million by 2020. We can do this because we've actually are leveraging our technology, our products, and our women, and we're also able to understand what is that next big innovation by co-creation of products and solutions from the rural households that need it the most. I'll leave you with one insight that my women entrepreneur had given me. Savita Bai from Junjunu. She said, "Thanks to you, I now am the change in my village and my community. I see the light and I see the future for my child." Join me in supporting more Savitra Bais in India to help impact 21 million people by 2022 and prove that investing in women is smart business and the key to poverty alleviation and scale. Thank you.
All right, we're open for questions now.
Jump in. So tell me your numbers again on where you already are.
Where we already?
Yeah.
So today we have 1,000 rural women entrepreneurs. We have sold 400,000 different clean cooking solutions to households. The 2.1 million people impacted is in Rajasthan. It's 7 people to a household who are using the products daily, and we've earned a revenue of $1.5 million breaking even.
And then what is the per unit? What do you sell them for, and what are the costs?
So there's a blended different product basket.
Okay.
It's lighting systems to appliances to cook stoves. So the product pricing ranges from as low as $6 to can be as high as $150.
I love that it's market demand, by the way, and not a giveaway solution. It's awesome.
Exactly. And the next question people you ask me is financing.
Yeah.
And the key is that we partner actually with local banks and local financial institutions. When you use customer insights to help financiers understand the value of the financial tool that you're giving to the customer, you're able to convert them faster, so they're able to actually afford the system at a larger scale.
Well done. Thank you. Awesome. Are you?
Oh, good.
So are you warehousing a lot of these products in different regions? So I'm envisioning that there's a woman that's going around and she's selling these products, but there's a basket full of products as different types. So there's distribution centers where this is
So one of the things that I come from a microfinance background myself, so rural distribution's like my forte. So really, it's a hub and spoke model. There's a state level to a zone level storage point. Women are stocking some of the products in their house, but the key again is when you know customer insights, you're not making them keep that entire product basket month on month. It's very specific to, oh, it's farming season. They're gonna need a torch. Let's get them 10 units based on the impact and the feedback that they're getting. So the goal is to turn the products around week on week. So there's a weekly cycle of product rotation. Our manufacturers keep bulk of the stock, and then they're just shipping it based on orders that we then coordinate on a mobile platform.
And so the women who are selling the products, do they have to purchase the products or so that they have it local and then resell it, or are they just selling it?
So this is the point I was making about credit worthy. So we're actually building out on getting them access to microfinance loans that allows them to create some upfront working capital for the product. But the early stage of women that we work with to inculcate them into the program, we offer them 45 days of credit that allows them to first build the demand, get some sort of deposit from that household, and then you can actually fulfill the supply so that there's some sort of stickiness to the sales that we're creating.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Jack.
Thanks.
All right. And let's welcome to the stage Oscar Espinoza of Pellet Mexico.
Hi, good evening. Just my firstborn child, Julia, was born 1 month ago. So I shouldn't be here. I wanted to stay home with her. But this stage and this audience helps me to think and act how I can inherit Julia a better world and a healthier earth. And we've seen the disastrous consequences of climate change in very different regions of the world, recently here in India. And the transition to renewables is an important part, and also the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Our company's contribution to this would be to develop in our country a whole new market, and that would be the bioenergy and biomass market. We will use the residue of harvest and the waste of the food production to produce thermal energy. The result of this transformation is the production of pellets and solid biofuels that will be used in industries, in the domestic sector, and in the tourism sector. We will achieve an organic combustion with neutral emissions, the reduction of costs around 40% for the industries, and that way we will increase the energy share in our country. To date, what we have is a regional model which we have already built 4 companies. Each of these companies uses a different biomass to produce pellets, and by the end of next year we'll be producing 5,000 tons of pellet already in these different 4 plants. After 1 year of work, we have the 4 different companies already constituted. We will initiate our production for next year, and we will be, after 5 years of work, we will produce 500 tons of pellets, and that way we will mitigate 3 million tons of emissions in Mexico. Till now, the revenue model is to commercialize the pellets by adapting the industries and the households to the consumption of these pellets. Our revenue for next year would be $1 million, and our net revenue after 5 years of work would be $13 million. The investment needed for these companies to work is only $3 million. We have already raised $750K, and we're willing to raise another $500 for 10% of our company, and that way helping climate change, giving a competitive advantage to our industries by reducing its emissions and their energy costs. Thank you very much.
Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your daughter. That's
Excellent.
wonderful.
Thank you very much.
She won't know you're gone. You're fine.
No, that's good.
I was just curious about who your customers are.
Yeah, well, there's different customers for each plant, but mostly we're going to change the productive process of mining, cement production, paper production, dairy production, food production, and the hotel industry mostly. And I said we will because we start production next year,
I was gonna say,
but
who's
we already
buying?
have the intention of these clients to change their productive process to biomass.
Got it. Thank you.
When does your business become margin neutral?
After 3 years.
After 3 years?
Yeah.
And that's the time your revenue will be about 13 million, you said.
After 5 years will be 13 million. So we would have already a revenue after actually 2 years and a half. We have already returned the investment, and then we will have this excellent for the next 2.5 years.
How much of the equity have you diluted so far?
Sorry?
What's the equity dilution so far?
For the raised capital that we had, we diluted ourselves only 10% of the, well, 30% of the company, and we are diluting another 10% for the 500K that we're asking. So the dilution is 40% in total.
You said you created 4 companies.
Yes.
Could you give us the details of those? Why is there a need for
Yes, of course. So Pellet Mexico is our company, and it works like a holding, and we participate of 51% of each of the regional companies because we partner with local producers and with local companies that are the owners of the residue. That way we guarantee the supply, the feedstock supply. So in Chihuahua, in Mexico, we will have a plant of 20,000 tons of pellet that will be done of pine tree, of the residues of the sawdust residue from the sawmills. In Veracruz, we would have a little plant of 3,000 pellets of bamboo. In Valle de Bravo, it's called in Mexico, we would do a program for the prevention of fires, and with this wood, we would do 33,000 tons of pine pellets. And in the north part of the country, in Sabinas, in Coahuila, we would use the avocado seed as a solid biofuel. And we're working there with one of the most important producers of food in Mexico. And they have the 50% of the guacamole distribution of the United States. They produce 30,000 avocado seeds as a residue. And for them, it's now a cost. And we will convert it to a very interesting business for them.
I'd like to know more about your background
Yes.
and the competitors.
Well, my background, I'm a philosopher, and I founded several companies. Before this company, I founded a consulting company. We did consulting, 10 years consulting in tourism, strategic communication, and urban development. And that's my specific background. My partners, one of them has been 12 years in the biomass sector in Europe, especially in Spain. And my other partner is also Spanish, is from Spain, and he's been also developing the biomass market there and in Latin America, specifically in Ecuador. And you asked me about the
competitors.
Yeah, my competitors. Well, we're the first company in Mexico producing pellet and solid biofuel. So we're the first to market. There's no production to large scale today, and we're going to be the first ones to do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Oscar. All right, so our judges are going to take a few minutes to confer. They're going to help us select both the winner and the runner-up for this round. I would remind you that the finalist that is identified in this round will go on to compete to become the grand champion. Hopefully all of you will stick with us to the closing plenary where we are able to announce the grand champion. The group here is competing for over $400,000 worth of entrepreneurial resources, and I wish them all the best. While we have a few minutes, I just want to let you know about a few opportunities through GIST that are available to everyone here. The first is the GIST Mentor Match portal, and I hope that all of you have had an opportunity to see this. If you go to GIST, GISTnetwork.org, you'll be able to sign up to both be a mentor and possibly a mentee. I know that many of you have signed on. I see some familiar faces, but this is an opportunity for everyone to be able to network, to be able to find each other, and to be able to find that individual that can answer that question for you. There are a variety of other resources that are available at justnetwork.org, including monthly online interactive programs where we coalesce an expert panel on a variety of entrepreneurial resource topics, and you can ask questions in real time to those individuals. But I'm also very excited to be able to tell you that just yesterday at the beginning of the GES, we launched our Just Tech Eye competition. And yes, I know that we're standing here on the stage talking about one pitch competition, but if you weren't able to participate with us in the Catalyst competition, I encourage you to go online and see whether you can participate with Just Tech Eye. Just Tech Eye follows a very similar structure where individuals will have to put on online 90-second pitch video online, go through public voting, and we'll take a small select group of 10 new entrepreneurs with us all the way to Istanbul to the Global Entrepreneurship Congress to be able to pitch, again, for a variety of entrepreneurial resources that the private sector will be able to help us put together. We'll take just a few more moments for the judges to be able to identify the winner, and please stay with us.